When you recite the raw in the Quran, there's a lot of different rules for it when you pronounce it thick, like raw, and thin, like re. And in the Warsh also, there's rules, and most of them are the same as the Hafs recitation. The Warsh, some things are a little bit different. The Warsh is the second most popular Qiraat recitation in the world. And what happens in some cases, the raw, you pronounce it thin, whereas in the Hafs, you would pronounce it thick. No, like for example, you have the words tu'azziruhu wa tuwakkiruhu bashira wa nadhira. So normally speaking in the Hafs, because the ra is dhamma and fatha, you pronounce it thick, bashira wa nadhira. But in the Warsh, what happens is if there's a kasra before it, e before it, or a ya before it, then you pronounce the ra thin. So you say tu'azziruhu, thin of the ra, and tuwakkiruhu, because there's a kasra before it, the e before we before it, and e before it, and also the ya before bashira, because there's a ya before it, the e sound before it, so you pronounce it in nadhira. And like another example, wal akhira. That's how you say it in the Warsh. The Hafs, the regular recitation is akhira, you say, because the ra with the fatha is always thick. But the Warsh, because there's a kasra before it, you pronounce it thin. And also, if there's a letter between it, it also doesn't affect the root. It's still pronounced thin. So you say ikhraj, you say in Warsh, and ijrami, you say in Warsh. That's how you do it. Helps you say it differently. You always say thick, ijrami and ikhraj, but in Warsh you say it thin, ijrami and ikhraj. So that's the rule for it. Now what happens is if you have a letter of isti'ala before it or after it, then what happens is you still pronounce it thick. Like for example, i'radan, normally speaking you would say it thin because there's an e before it, but because you have a thick letter after it, you have to say it thick. And likewise sirat, because you have a thick letter after it, you have to say it thick. Not sirat, sirat. And likewise, if you have a thick letter before it, you have to pronounce it thick. Kitora, normally speaking, you would say it thin because of the e before it, but because there's a thick letter before it, you have to say it thick. And wikra, you say it because there's a thick letter before it, but the normal rule, you have kasra before it, you would say it thin. So that's the thing to bear in mind. And that's, again, this is the Warsh recitation. You pronounce the ra thin in these circumstances. And Allah knows best, and may peace and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.